Hi there, welcome back to the Acme Success video channel. This is Jackie, your Acme Success Coach. Now in this video, this question that I have for you is this. Does Donald Trump now have what it takes to be the next US president? Now, how would I know the answer to this question? Well, I have no idea. Well, what I'm just wanted to share with you is a NLP perspective of what it takes to be a successful in influence. You see, in NLP, there is an interesting test that we can actually use to determine a candidate's chances of winning an election. It's been proven to work in many of the past elections, and that test is known as the total representation test. Now, what's the total representation test? First of all, you got to realize that in this world that we're living in, now we're constantly receiving information to our mind based on our five senses. And yet, the way in which we represent this information in our mind could be very different for different groups of people. And some of us tend to be favor what I call the visual representation systems, which is basically how we store information in the images. Now, while some of us are more into the auditory aspect, which is how things sound to us, how someone sounds to us, and then the kinesthetic, which is the emotional connection that we feel towards someone or certain things in our life, and the auditory digital, which actually represents the part of our representation system where we store information in what I call a digital format. Now, basically what it means is that we're talking about logic right here. Now, does this person look credible to me? Does his message, is it congruent? And so, let's take a look at how Mr. Trump actually fared in each of the four areas. So, visual. Now, has Donald Trump been able to appeal to the visual needs of many of his voters? Now, I would certainly think so, because being someone who is very good at using abstract language, or what I term as a chunk-up language, to communicate to the voters. Now, for example, now his slogan, "Make America Great Again." Now, it's a very, very abstract term. So what do you mean by, making America great again? But you see, remember some of those videos that I posted and shared with you earlier on? And I shared that the more abstract the language you use, the more chunk up language you use, the higher your chances of building rapport with the masses. So it's certainly a wise choice for Mr. Trump to focus on using many chunk up language to build rapport with his voters. Now we're going to look at the auditory aspect. Now, how does it sound to the voters? Possessing a really confident voice, and very often, he sounds, whenever he speaks, he makes his speeches, now he sounds as though he has lots of energy and vigor. I certainly believe that he has that competitive edge over many of his rivals. And now looking at the kinesthetic aspect, what about the emotional connection he has with his voters? I would certainly think that Mr. Trump was really wise to choose some of these pressing issues to talk about in many of his speeches, and because he was constantly focusing on the problems that Americans are facing, and that actually connected with their emotions. And always remember this, that facts would always tell, but stories would always sell. And because Mr. Trump is very good at sharing stories, now he was able to capture the attention of many of his voters and potential supporters. Now, perhaps the area that many would see or perceive Mr. Trump as lacking now in the areas of this total representation test, now I believe would be in the auditory digital aspect. Now, again, what is auditory digital? Simply put it, it is how you appear as being credible. And perhaps this is an area where many of his potential voters would often see his campaign messages as being somewhat incongruent, and therefore lack the faith and trust in him. Now, is he that person who is reliable? to bring America back to the top again. There are people who beg to differ. So anyway, I'll leave it to you to decide as you're watching this video. But back to this question, what about you? You say, if I'm not interested in politics, how does this video, the content of this video is able to help me to increase my ability to influence? The same way that it works in politics. Now, if you want to truly master the art of influence and persuasion, now remember that it's not by appealing to one need, two needs, or three needs of the people, but all the four needs. The visual, now how you appear to the people, how are you dressed often, the auditory needs, how do you sound, are you confident, do you sound confident when you're speaking to your prospect or the person that you like to influence? The kinesthetic, have you been able to connect with their emotions? And finally, do you actually walk the talk yourself? Now, you're someone who is often perceived as credible and trustworthy, because if you are able to master all these four different needs of the human psychology, now you would no doubt become a true master of influence in no time. So with that, I trust that you're going to put this simple strategy into use, and may you achieve ultimate influence in your life. I'll see you soon.